I think that the people that will appreciate BikeRx are looking for a way to earn real money. So you don't have to put in a ton of hours in order to keep their RV dream alive.
Welcome to the RV Entrepreneur Podcast, the weekly show for nomads, work campers, RVers, and entrepreneurs looking to earn a living or build a business while enjoying the RV lifestyle. This week's host is Jim Nelson. Let's settle in and enjoy the RV Entrepreneur Podcast, brought to you by RV Life.
Have you ever rolled into a campground, taken the bikes off the rack, and thought, wow, we could really use a tune-up? I sure have. Or maybe you've dreamed of starting a mobile bike repair business from your RV, but don't know where to begin. Well, today's guest is here to help. I'm Jim from RV Life, and today I'm talking with Scott Truett, the founder of BikeRx. This turnkey mobile bike repair business is built specifically for RVers who want to earn real money while living on the road. From salvaging bikes as a kid to launching a scalable business model with professional branding, all the tools you need, and built-in training, Scott has found a smart, service-based niche for nomads with mechanical curiosity and a drive to help others. I always enjoy talking to entrepreneurs who turn their passion into a profitable lifestyle, and Scott is doing just that. Maybe you can too. Stay tuned to find out right after this important message from our sponsors.
Hey RVers, let's be real. Your RV shower head isn't great, and even if you swapped it out for something better, chances are it's just a shinier version of the same old thing. And if you're really lucky, those stiff hose kind of let you get wet, but definitely not where you want it. That's where WaterPick comes in. A global leader in water technology, they've designed the Transform RV showerhead to change the way you shower on the road, making it easier and more efficient to shower in tight RV spaces. While other RV showerheads have limited spray adjustments, the Transform RV's unique 360-degree pivoting head allows you to customize to any spray angle without having to remove it from the bracket. This means you can reach your desired spray area and shower with both hands free. This shower head doesn't just work better, it feels better. It's engineered to deliver powerful, consistent water flow. Its multiple spray settings are optimized to get the most out of your water tank. And with the new trickle switch, you can conserve water without that shocking blast of cold or hot water when you turn it back on. It's available in white, chrome, and nickel. The WaterPick Transform RV showerhead is ready to upgrade your RV shower. Head over to Amazon and check it out now.
Scott, thank you so much for joining us here. I'm excited to share what you're doing.
Yes, my pleasure. I'm excited to talk about it and, let people know what we're doing.
Fantastic. And hopefully we'll tell enough people to kind of ramp up your business there, because we're going to talk about BikeRx and a different angle you have for providing mechanic services. But technically, this is the RV Life Entrepreneur Podcast. So I ask all my guests a couple questions first to get to know you. How did you first discover the RV life, and how did you travel, or do you travel now?
The RV life has been a plan of mine for, before my kids were born, and I got a daughter that's 31. So it's been on my mind. It's been something I wish to do as far as travel in the country, seeing the country, and being able to take up residence wherever we are in order to take in everything. So state parks, just lots of fantabulous places out there that I'd like to explore fully. And I think the RV lifestyle is going to give that to us. So we've been RVing for now the past 6 years. We've moved up from a 20-foot RV to a 36-foot lacrosse with a bunkhouse. And we've been out for a couple of summers. And last year we went to Kentucky for the Bourbon Tour. Really, it's everything we thought it would be. And I think I'm really looking forward to it.
Fantastic. And kudos on planning to make that journey happen and worthwhile. And we're going to discuss how you plan to do that in a unique kind of way. But what do you think it takes to be an entrepreneur?
Well, I think a little bit of optimism. Definitely some drive and ability to multitask a bit because, especially if we're talking BikeRx, you do a majority of the things as an individual. And, but I also think that it's, it's not as hard as a lot of people think it might be, especially in the context of the way BikeRx has been put together, is to take out a lot of the issues that make it more difficult. So I believe it's simplified, but there's entrepreneurs in every facet of that come in short, tall, young, old, and just a little bit of motivation and a little bit of desire to be able to call your own shots.
Yeah, I think that's what it's all about. And we're going to dive into calling your own shots with BikeRx and explain what that means. But let's take a step back here, get some kind of history and background about how it all came to life. You mentioned retirement soon. What did or do you do in what I call the previous life?
Yeah, I've had a couple reincarnations, but I started out after college as a restaurant manager, hospitality, and really enjoyed that. Have a lot of fun interacting with customers and motivating employees and all that type of stuff. But then I had children, and the restaurant lifestyle management didn't really work that well
Oh,
to be
sure.
able to raise kids. So I stepped away from it and I started managing other types of businesses. And that's worked out really well in that I was able to be home for dinner and home for breakfast. And, so then after, let's see, the kids were in high school and stuff, I decided I wanted to launch my own business. So I started a bike shop. And that was a side hustle, bike shop, but it was a full on bike shop. I tagged up with I tapped a friend on the shoulder and asked him to come aboard and join me in it. And that was a lot of fun. And we had some great success, but my optimism got me in that one where I really wasn't prepared when the recession of 2008 finally hit us. And our small town shop ended up closing in 2011.
Okay.
And yeah, so, but after that, I went back to the same company I was already working for. I'd taken maybe a couple of years off to go full time with the shop. And I've been with that company since. So I've got a total of like 19 years with that company and one more to go. And that's managing a lot of different processes in a manufacturing operation. So,
okay.
Yeah.
So how do you think these experiences might have helped you shape the way you're building out BikeRx?
Well, like I mentioned the first time, a lot of multitasking ability, but also, my experience in just figuring things out, which is really what bike repair is about, is figuring things out. And it's not really that hard to figure it out, but it does take a little bit of curiosity and ingenuity. That's kind of how I got started with bike repair. I got my brother's bike stolen at age 8, and my dad was pretty furious and said, okay, no more new bikes. And from that point on, we got all our bikes and bike parts from the dump. And so we learned pretty quickly how to take them apart, build them back, and build them better and make them work and fix. And, it was great. It was probably, the greatest thing that ever happened was getting my brother's bike stolen.
And so I read the part about you salvaging bikes from the dump and fixing those up. Was that for your own use and kind of modifying and learning and then teaching yourself the trade, or were you actually kind of fixing these up and reselling them?
Yeah, well, basically after the bike got stolen, we definitely needed one because my brother didn't have a bike at that point. So the first thing was to get another bike for him to ride. But, one trip to the dump was usually bringing home a few bikes, and we found out pretty quick that, one is good, but more is better.
Hmm.
And so, we made up bikes, and, we did end up selling a few. We had our front lawn. I can remember 3 or 4 bikes at a time sitting out front with like $5 and $10 price tags on them.
How
And,
fun.
but it was fun. It was interesting to be able to do it. The only thing we couldn't really do was break some of the nuts. We needed to tap my brother Todd on the shoulder and say, "Hey, can you loosen this nut?" Because, we're like 8 years old and we weigh 60 pounds or something like that. We didn't really have enough strength for some of them. But beyond that, we can handle all the learning, the figuring it out. And, hey, when you touch this, this moves. Oh, okay. Now I see how that
Troubleshooting.
works.
Yeah, figuring out how it works. You
Yeah.
seem to have bike repair in your blood there. At what point in your life did you realize the hobby and the lust for the bicycle could become a scalable business?
Well, I had a plan all along that by the time I was 40, I was going to start my own business. And so at age 39, I completed my Ironman, which has a bike leg in the
Mm-hmm.
Ironman. So I had to learn a lot as far as really fine tuning a bike just to be prepared for the Ironman. But I really hadn't put a ton of time into becoming the best bike mechanic until that point, so that I'd be prepared for the Ironman, any problems that I had. And so when I got done with that and I looked at my goals list, starting a business was the next thing, and it was either going to be real estate or open a bike shop. And I kind of had to go with my heart. And I decided to open a bike shop. And by the time at the end of the year, I had tapped my friend on the shoulder and he agreed, and we started Adventure Bikes and Boards, and we went head first into that, and really enjoyed it. And we were not only fixing bikes for money, but we also, a local group had just started called Community Bikes had just started, and with our help we were able to get them off the ground because we would
Right on.
repair their bikes for free to get them up and going so they could give them away.
Right
So,
on.
yeah.
So you mentioned a mobile bike mechanic aspect of this. How did you do that? Did that just, how'd that idea come to mind? And did you just set up shop anywhere, or you reach out to events or venues? Tell me about the mobile aspect of it.
Yeah, so in 2011, I closed the brick and mortar store reluctantly, but there wasn't much I could do at that point. And so a few years went by, and, I was still fixing bikes for my old customers in the town of Hamilton because they no longer had a shop. And so it's like they were calling me I was getting, a couple dozen calls in the spring and a couple dozen calls during the summer, like, "Hey, Scott, my bike needs this, my bike needs that." So I was still servicing my customers' bikes. I actually felt bad that I had failed with my shop, and I wanted to keep them rolling. I had
You
sold
didn't
the bikes.
you didn't fail, you learned. How about that?
Yeah, yeah. Well, you're right. It's all just driven me to this point. But anyway, I was repairing their bikes at their home, and so I was slowly building up my little plan on how I could do that quickly and efficiently. And then I decided, there's enough of this business and I could use extra money. So I decided to join the farmers market in Hamilton. And because I'm a veteran, I was able to get a site for free. And I bought a pop-up tent and I started doing bike repair at the farmers market. And that went extremely well. My customers kept me extremely busy, be there from 8 to 2 every Saturday. And it was just wonderful. And so the following year, I bought a bike trailer because a lot of my customers, I could service their bikes at home as well.
Mm-hmm.
And that would have opened up more opportunity. So I bought a trailer, got it all marketed and built the whole thing out. And that's when I built Nomad's mobile bike
Okay.
repair. So
So tell me about that rig. Do you mean an enclosed trailer? Because we once called a mobile mechanic and he showed up in a panel van, opened up the back, and he had a full-on shop. Stuff on the walls, bike mounting stuff,
Yep.
bike rack. What was your outfit look like?
Yeah, it was a 6x12 aluminum trailer, completely outfitted with a compressor, batteries, lights, complete bike shop, a retail end up in the front, all the tools, and a bench, and a tuning stand, and a bike repair stand on the wall. And yeah, it was a shop on wheels. And we could do 90% of the work a shop could do right in your driveway or
Nice.
wherever we decided to pop up. And so we did some pop-up events, we did some farmers markets, we did some festivals, and wherever we showed up, we stayed. I stayed busy. I say we because every now and then I'd hire one of the kids that I was training to be a bike mechanic. I was putting on mechanics classes at the community bike organization, and so I was bringing one of those guys with me to help because I'd be wasting time just adding air to tires and doing simple stuff that, so that was good. It was good for them, good for me.
The farmers market, that's a brilliant idea, and I can envision that at the farmers market, someone set up repairing bikes. What are some other memorable locations where you did bike repair, or explain how you might have landed some of these gigs at events or rallies or wherever you did it?
Yeah, well, bike people are quite conversational because while you're repairing their bikes, they're usually chatting you up if they stick around. And it was usually through those conversations that I would hear, oh, well, there's a music festival, night on Thursday nights. And, people have asked me there. They know people in that town and you should make it over there. And I knew people from that town because I rode with some of them in a ride group. And so, I was like, yeah, I'll get in touch with them and I'll head over there. And yeah, it was a little bit different vibe. Every town has a different biking community. And that was a lot more toward kids and single speed bikes and, a lot more bent rims and other issues that they had there rather than just plain tune-ups like Hamilton. And I think the Hamilton thing really appealed to me because I was usually working on decent bikes that were kept in relatively good shape. So, anytime that I could focus, I would focus on that Hamilton Farmers Market and that style of bike repair. And that's kind of fits directly in with where we're going with this conversation.
So that translates into different types of events. And I can see I've been to certain events where there's a guy with a van fixing bikes. So let's talk about the future and what you've done. You clearly have the technical and the social skills to grow a mobile bike mechanic business. But BikeRx is something different. From what I understand, it's not a franchise. You're not getting royalties or ongoing fees. So explain what BikeRx is and why it was important for you to structure it this way.
Yeah. Addressing franchising is I did look at it initially because, launching something this complicated, which it really is when you get into all the nooks and crannies, it's pretty complicated. But when I was talking with the franchising people, it was escalating the cost. And, that cost to me ends up being cost to whoever wants to be involved with BikeRx. So it was really quickly would have escalated. And, there were a lot of conversations where they're like, yeah, but, if you were to come with us and let us launch it as a franchise, you'd be looking at getting marketing fees each month. You'd be looking at getting franchise fees and royalty fees and all this. And I'm like, that's exactly what I don't want. I don't want people to have to deal with that. I'd like people to be able to get a nice clean break. Like, hey, Scott, it's, $3,500 for a BikeRx license agreement, a lifetime license agreement. No other fees ever, no royalty fees, no anything. You get everything. You get, and with that $3,500, you get all the tools necessary to be a BikeRx dealer. You get $1,000 worth of merchandise that is branded BikeRx. You get some inventory to help you decide what you might want to sell, because there could be a retail component to it, because not everybody has a bell, not everybody has a horn, not everybody has a water bottle or a water bottle cage on their bike. So there's opportunities to really make people's ride more enjoyable. So I looked at the franchising thing and I quickly said, that's not a way we can go, because I just don't think it's going to appeal to RVers to drop $20,000, $30,000 to do this. Even though, you look at some of the franchise agreements and franchise businesses out there that are getting full-time RVers on board, and they have prices like that.
So you mentioned a one-time fee. So aside from the new licensing fee, what other revenue streams might BikeRx generate or not?
Yeah, well, if I were coming on as a licensee and I were to dish out the $3,500, I'd get, we have all the training videos online. We have a complete dealer portal on the back end of our website that talks about all the things that we believe at this point to be successful with BikeRx, how to be a good neighbor in a campground, how to set up your pricing, how to, and then how to fix each and every little issue that we talk about in our ride rehab tune-up, which is really where we're focusing, is triage for bikes. It's like the fixes that they need to have a successful weekend, because, when you roll into a campground and you have your bikes on the back of the RV, you get there and you have a flat, or you don't have it, or the shifting is bad, or you took a bump during travel. It'd be really nice if somebody could help you solve that. And that's kind of where we come in. I kind of go back to talking about preferring the Hamilton Farmers Market because of the level of the bikes that we were dealing with. And I think RVers are going to be the same way, where they have bikes that are in pretty good shape, but they might have been in the garage the whole winter. They might not be shifting that well, but overall, they've kept their bike in a decent shape. They're not just bringing some rusty piece of metal that's been sitting on the back of the shed for 5 years.
Some of us do.
Well, and you can make those things ride better. So that's kind of what we're focused on, is being able to have people enjoy their bikes while they're camping and RVing.
And that's a brilliant market opportunity, because for 16 plus years, we did ride with bikes on the back in the elements. And every time we'd stop somewhere, it would be either rusty or not shifting right, or broken gears. And we'd be tuning them up frequently. So you're onto something smart there to get in the campgrounds. But what's the type of relationship you have with the licensees? I think it's fantastic that it's not just here's a sign and some tools. You're actually selling a lot of information and ways that they can make their business successful. So once they're on board, how long does that relationship usually last, or what's it look like?
Yeah, I'd like to be like a mentor, and to kind of coach them into the areas that they might need to focus so that they fully understand and can appreciate kind of what we're offering, because I don't see a better opportunity out there that fits better in the RV lifestyle. I mean, maybe you've got it, being a writer, being a journalist, being a that might be a little bit better than BikeRx. You don't even have to get outside. But
I'll trade you.
I really love the times that we've been out. When we went to Kentucky last year, when we were in Verona Beach last summer, previous years when we were up in Nix Lake and stuff like that, of having the awning out, having the bike stand up, my flag flying, talking to people, finding bikes to tune up, and they bring them right to my campsite. I throw them up in my rack underneath my awning, got my cup of coffee or maybe my adult beverage, and my music playing under my awning, fixing their bike, about a half an hour later, sending them a text that their bike is ready, them coming to my campsite, picking up their bike, and leaving me green stuff and on to the next one. I don't think it gets a whole lot simpler than that. And, with my girlfriend as a silent partner, going out and distributing some business cards or helping put up some flyers in the campground, talking with the campground management, letting them know and spreading the word. We've had more business than we wanted.
This episode is made possible by Travelfy. Want reliable internet without the hassle? Meet Travelfy. It's portable, high-speed Wi-Fi that's ready to go wherever you are. From road trips to remote cabins. No tricky setup or permanent location required. Just plug in and you're connected. And here's the best part. No contracts, no commitments, and no reactivation fees. Pay only for the months you need. Travelfy connects to the strongest available signal among multiple major networks, so you stay online with confidence, backed by a US-based support team that knows the outdoor lifestyle. Travelfy, simplifying internet while you travel. Visit travelfy.com today. That's TRAVLFI.com. Listeners can save 15% with code RVE at checkout. So I was going to talk about this later, but since you brought it up, have you ever faced challenges operating a business out of an RV park? Because there's lots of places that say you can't do that, or once they see you doing that, they might shut you down. Did you encounter that anywhere?
Not as a single site.
Really?
The first thing we did when we arrived was kind of introduce ourselves, say, hey, we're from New York and forgive us, because I'm going back to a conversation when we arrived in Kentucky. And, that was our line was,
okay.
Here we are, some Yankees coming down, and we come peacefully. And, so we were there for the bourbon tour. And, that was the conversation. I was also dropped them some business cards and said that, we'll have our bike repair stand up and fixing up any bikes that people need fixed while we're here. And I basically try with the conversation to talk in a professional way, and how it's, I think the major concern is that we don't have a messy site and that it starts looking like a bike junkyard or something like that. So, we very cautiously take on a few bikes at a time and get them picked up before we even encourage the next customer. So, I think that's a big part of it, is to come across as, professional and upfront. And, we heard nothing but good stuff when we were doing that. And we even tried, we asked at the one campground in Tennessee that we stayed at, or Kentucky. Keep mixing those up because Tennessee's coming up. We did Kentucky. We're going to Tennessee next. So, and, the point of that we're trying to be extremely good neighbors and being professional and showing them what we do and how we do it. And I think that if that's the take that people use, I think the reception will be good.
And I think that's great to hear, because I've had some work camping jobs where, in the disclosures, it's like, you shall not operate a business out of your site. But it's really good to hear that you've never really encountered that in the public. Maybe some larger chains might do that. But being transparent when you walk in, and
right,
it's better to do that than, try and ask forgiveness later and have them come shut you down. But aside from that misconception I had, do you think of any other, misleading concepts that people might have about starting a mobile repair business, or would that be the only thing that might have come up?
Yeah, well, and just dealing with the first few people that have contacted us, they're thinking full on bike shop. And I'm like, no, you don't even want to do that, because, one of the misconceptions they brought to us was, they're thinking full on bike shop. And I'm like, yeah, but you don't have time. You're there for a week, maybe. maybe 2. The people that are in the campground all around you are there for a week, maybe 2. Most people are there for a week.
Mm-hmm.
I said, you don't have time to do full on repairs because you got to order a part, then have a
Right.
part come in, then get it on the bike. Well, you're lucky if you get it back to the people before they're leaving. You got to kind of do more triage, like I was talking about getting them rolling the best that you can. A full on tune up isn't that complicated.
Yeah.
And it takes a lot of, it makes a lot of areas of the bike better, riding better, shifting better, braking better. And it keeps the people able to utilize their bike without handing it over to you for days at a time.
Yeah.
And, that's just not going to work.
So talk to me about the mechanical part of it. Do the licensees or, BikeRx operators, do you need a strong mechanical background, or is like a willingness to learn and the ability to turn a wrench enough?
Yeah. I think curiosity and a little bit of ingenuity, a little bit of a good eyesight for one, because there are some small parts in there, and the ability to adjust some small parts, because a lot of times it's just a quarter of a turn or a half a turn of a wrench or a screwdriver. So, I think, even from my experience of training young kids to be bike mechanics and training my girlfriend about how to make adjustments and stuff like that, it's a willingness to learn, mostly, and then feeling empowered when it's like, oh wow, that wasn't that hard. That made it a whole lot better. And I think that, a few little realizations of that, and you're well on your way to being not a bike mechanic, but a tune-up specialist is kind of what we're going for.
Okay.
And you're not going to solve a bottom bracket issue or a destroyed headset or a tacoed wheel, but we're not trying to be everything.
You're going to get people back on the road. And it sounds almost like people skills are equally, if not more important, to make this thing successful.
Yeah, you're definitely going to have to identify the issue, tell the customer what you think you can do for them, and find that spot that makes them grateful that you were there. And now their bike is riding well, and they can enjoy the vacation that they were on instead of throwing the bikes back in a rack and waiting until they pass through a bigger town and staying for a day or two till it was done. So,
or cussing at them when they fall apart on the trail. Like,
yeah, having to put it back on your shoulder and walk it back.
Yeah. So it sounds like working with the public and building relationships with campgrounds might be a big part of this business.
Definitely. You definitely have to navigate those scenarios in order to be successful. Yeah.
So what kind of like mindset or habits do you think people need to make a BikeRx operation successful?
Yeah, I think that the desire to earn their way, the desire to provide some work so that they can make some money, so that they continue their RV dream, I think is, because if I'm looking at I'll use myself, is I'm looking at retiring before I'm necessarily financially completely stable to retire. Mm-hmm. I'm going to do it because I have a means to make money through BikeRx. I'm BikeRx number one. And I think that I have something to offer campers that they could desperately use and appreciate while I'm out on the road, and I'm not earning $12 an hour working at a camp store and being told when I have to be there, and working hours that maybe I don't want. In fact, being BikeRx, I can work on those days that aren't so nice. Like if we see Tuesday, Wednesday is all rain, I'll work on bikes and work on driving the business to me and getting things done on those days. And then maybe I'll take the sunny days off and go out and ride or go out and hike. So I think that, the people that will appreciate BikeRx are looking for a way to earn real money. And I say real money, I'm saying $50 to $100 an hour is easily obtainable. Our ride rehab tune-up that is our number one product is a $50 tune-up, which is one of the cheaper tune-ups in the country, but it's also a good value for the customer and something that we can complete within an hour. And I, being seasoned and experienced, I do 2 per hour.
Nice.
So, I think that people that are out there that need to do some work in order to keep their RV dream alive would appreciate a business where they can earn serious money. In fact, when I'm doing bike tune-ups, I earn more money than I do from my regular job on an hourly basis. Easy. And so you don't have to put in a ton of hours to make real money. Like if I were to put in 10 hours a week, I'm probably making $1,000 in that 10 hours. And that is, you can do the math.
Yes.
Or $4,000 a month. And that's a lot more money than I take home in a paycheck. And I think that looking at those numbers can give somebody the energy they need to actually study our videos, to learn our videos, to read the book, and to become proficient at 7 different areas of a bike tune-up.
Nice. So it sounds like the licensees are getting like a system in place, ready to operate out the door, and access to a wealth of information. What other support do you offer them other than this portal and this information? You mentioned, when would they buy inventory from you if they need it, or you give them direction on where to get those things? Or what about licensing in states and sales tax? What are you doing to support the business side of these folks?
Yep. Completely in our dealer portal is the information on what you need to do as far as getting a tax ID number so that you can collect sales tax. There's some suggestions on the person in each state to call to get that information.
Excellent.
And, we are also saying that our BikeRx people need to be comfortable on the internet, because you're going to be, our videos are hosted on YouTube. So you've got to have a little bit of ability to be online. But at the same time, you don't need to be a marketing genius,
right,
or waste any money marketing, because your business is around you. You don't have to go into the next county, into the next state, nationwide, because your audience is literally right next door to you.
Mm-hmm.
And so there's a whole big slice of running a business that you don't have to do. So
it sounds like it could sell itself when you're in the right location and you have some good traffic going through and they all have bikes. But it also sounds like it does take a bit of business savvy, because when you talk about, tax ID number, you got to have that in each state. So if you're moving around frequently, you got to have some kind of savvy to be able to set that up everywhere, right?
Yeah, well, and I haven't studied all the complexities of that. I have used my New York State tax ID number in all my situations.
Oh, great.
So, I report my taxes. I'm not trying to be a tax cheat, but also, when we went to Kentucky and I think I repaired like 9 bikes. I didn't work a lot. I didn't want to. We were on vacation. But that money was reported on my New York State income tax. And, if it was, almost $500, it was, at our tax rates here of 8%, sales tax, I sent my 30, $40 in, and I'm sure that, when it's a franchise agreement and it's a franchise and there's complications of all of that, that there would probably be requirements of everybody to report in each state they're working in. But I haven't had, at the 4 campgrounds that I've set up in, I haven't had anybody say, I've
Sure.
shown them my New York State, actually. It's an orange form that says I can collect sales tax. And, there's hasn't been. And then I have insurance. So we guide people on the dealer portal with the things that they'll need. And then I'm also offering 20 hours of support like
Nice.
this: conversation, video, telephone, whatever they need. And then as much unlimited right now with texting and emails.
Oh.
Certain things can be done real simply with a text. Others might be a conversation. And I might have to point out, that's video 7 at about 12 minutes and 40 seconds. You want to look at
That's
that.
great.
That's where that's addressed. So, I can go in and I can direct them, especially if they were to send me a text or an email. I can take 5 minutes to find exactly where it is and, point that out to them. And, it's as easy as that. Like, oh, it's that simple. Okay. Yeah.
So I think you just answered my next question, but in a nutshell, if someone's capable and interested in bike repair, why would they consider licensing BikeRx than going it on their own?
Yeah, well, and that's an honest thing that we're aware of. And I think that in order to be taken seriously at an RV park, you're going to want to look professional, or else you probably will be shown the door. You're going to want to understand how to operate professionally in that setting and, have the right tools, which we've already specified and already have in boxes ready to be shipped. You're going to want to have a complete looking setup that seems professional, because once again, you're taking in customer bikes. Some of them cost $2,000.
Right.
Some of them cost $6,000. So are people going to trust you if you don't come across as professional and well rehearsed and like you're serious about it? So, our invoices are BikeRx. Our flag is a BikeRx flag. Our water bottles, our bells, our koozies, everything is logoed and looks professional. And so, and that can be seen on our website too. Down toward the bottom, we have one big picture of merchandise and marketing stuff, so that you can see that. And each one of those pieces is probably 5 hours or more, 10 hours or more, just to make it happen.
Sure.
And, some money behind it to make it happen. So you could go out on your own and be a bike mechanic, and, you might have some success, but I think you're going to quickly find out that, something in the $3,000 range where I can pay myself back with 60 bike tune-ups. So I'm literally talking in hours. I can pay myself back in like 60 hours, or I can knock down every single entrepreneurial wall that's in front of me.
Within a matter of days, look like a well-established business operation and have everything branded and have that kind of respect behind you. So what you're talking about is kind of BikeRx 1.0, like you said. Where do you see yourself and the business, say, in 5 years? What's down the road, or are you just all focused on getting this thing off the ground?
Yeah, no, we've thought further down the road, and I wouldn't, I've got big aspirations of, this year, bringing on 10 dealers, next year, doubling that. And, within 5 years, maybe we've got 100 BikeRx out there, dealers. And, maybe in 5 or 10 years, we've got some agreements with different RV parks or different franchises of RV parks where they want a BikeRx at each campground. because it's a customer service thing.
Wonderful.
And I would think that, I would definitely, when I'm looking up amenities, if it said it had, a bike shop, basically a bike repair guy,
On
there,
site.
it definitely is something that would definitely appeal to me.
Yeah, it sounds like the opportunities are kind of limitless, and it kind of just depends on the savviness of the licensee, because they could start reaching out to rallies. And I keep coming back to that farmers market. Get in on these rallies and have, if something's going on for a week, you can be there and have a lot of business in a short period of time, and then move and do it again. What would you say to the people out there who might, they might be business savvy and they like bike repair, but to reassure them before they jump in to overcome the challenges of this?
Yeah, well, I think that, there's a few sayings out there, and I can't say any one of them's coming clear to my head right now, but I feel that people can find a lot of joy being in control of their own destiny, and learning a new skill is something I enjoy doing, and I think that it would be for a lot of people to take something as complicated. When you look at it, a bike, a lot of people don't even want to blow up their tires, but they look upon it as something for somebody else to work on. And when they start working with it themselves, I think they quickly understand, like, oh, all right, I understand this. That's not that difficult. That's not that hard. I think that there's a whole lot of self enjoyment and empowerment that they would get through tackling something like this.
Fantastic. So what's the best way people can learn more?
Well, we've got bikerx.net. So www.bikerx.net is our website. And you can go on there and you can see everything I've just talked about. You can see a link to the dealer portal, but you won't be able to get in there. If anybody needs any more assurances or things like that, they can always fill out the contact form at the bottom of the site. And I can shoot some messages back to them, give them some screenshots of the dealer portal if they want, make them, see the quality that went into it and the thoughtfulness that went into it. And, maybe they can come on board and, help me make it even better, because as I've tried to answer all the questions that could come up, I'm sure I'll be educated.
Fantastic, Scott. I wish you the best of luck with this, and I hope to see you at a campground somewhere, and I'll show you a scary bike to work on. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you.
There you have it, folks. Once again, the conversation boils down to purpose. And in Scott's case, it's the perfect blend of passion, practicality, and personal freedom. We talked about the joy of solving problems with your hands, the value of showing up professionally, even when your shop is a campsite, and the importance of staying in control of your time and your income. Scott's approach to business is proof that you don't need to build something massive to make a meaningful impact. You just need to build it smart. If you've been thinking about launching a service-based business from your RV or want to connect with others doing the same, we'd love to hear from you. Reach out at the RVentrepreneur.com or join the conversation in the RVE community Facebook group. Adventure is out there, and so is success. Sometimes it's waiting under your awning with a wrench and a cup of coffee. For anyone out there feeling stuck in the default life, just remember,
there's opportunities to really make people's ride more enjoyable.
Your RV adventures are worth sharing. With an RV Life profile, you can connect with a community of RV enthusiasts, engage in meaningful conversations, and inspire others on their journey. It's not just about where you go. It's about the memories you make and the people you meet along the way. Start sharing your unique RV experiences at rvlife.com.